Welcome to the Local Real Estate Show. Join us each week as we hear from local real estate professionals from around the country. We'll hear their stories, get their advice on the current market trends to the best ways to get the most out of your real estate purchases, sales, or investments. Whether you're just getting started and buying your first home or you are a seasoned real estate investor, there's something here for everyone. So buckle up and get ready to hear from the people who know the real estate industry the best. Now your host, Steve Champagne.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Local Real Estate Show. Today, I have Lisa Dyer from TruHome's Real Estate on the show. Welcome, Lisa. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Steve?
I am doing fantastic. All right, so let's get into a few introductory questions about you and why you got into real estate. So first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so obviously my name is Lisa Dyer, and
Yep.
I primarily grew up in Iowa. I
Okay.
grew up in Sioux City, Iowa, which is kind of right there where Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska all come together.
Okay.
And then lived in Omaha, Nebraska for about 5 years, moved there as an adult with my 3 children. And then we moved to Virginia, where I lived for about 13 years. And in
Okay.
2017, we moved here to the great state of Texas, which we love, love, love Texas. So
Okay.
you heard me say I have 3 children. They're all adults now.
Mhm.
2 boys and then a daughter. And my daughter's married.
Mhm.
And so I also have a daughter-in-law.
Okay. Very good. All right. So why did you
Oh, I
become a
forgot to
real?
mention my husband. I should talk about my husband because he really is my big cheerleader. Got a
Okay.
husband, Jim. Mr.
Okay.
Dyer. He's amazing.
Okay. So why did you become a real estate agent?
So, what a lot of people do not realize is that I'd actually taken the classes when we lived in Virginia back in
Okay.
2008.
Okay.
And during that time while I was taking the classes, unfortunately, my now ex-husband, he and I kind of went through a separation. And it was
Mm-hmm.
2008, so the market really was not,
Yeah.
it was kind of in
It
some
is.
recovery in the DC area. So I thought, okay, market's still not the best for real
Yeah.
estate, about to go through a divorce. Maybe now is not the best time. And then after moving here to Texas,
Mm-hmm.
just made a lot of great connections. And
Yep.
a couple of people had encouraged me to go into real estate, not knowing that I was already interested in it because of my love of houses. I love the design aspect. Kind of back in that early 2000s, flipping houses was really a big thing. So I thought maybe I'd want to get involved in that.
Okay.
And so once a couple of people kind of suggested it, I thought,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now I think is the time. Had all my classwork done in 3 weeks, was just waiting to take the coursework. And I came from the education world where I used to be a teacher. So I
Okay.
really saw this as a great opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
kind of help educate buyers and especially first time buyers, having gone through
Yep.
purchasing and relocation myself.
That's a good reason why to become a real estate agent. All right. So,
Hmm.
how long you been doing real estate full time?
So almost 5 years. In
Okay.
June, it will be 5 years that I officially got my license.
Okay. Um, so people don't know the difference between a real estate agent and a realtor. Could you let them know what the difference is?
So there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Yep.
There's your state required coursework that you have to go through and all of the testing and everything like that. And you
Mm-hmm.
are a real estate agent where you can put your license under a
Yep.
brokerage and go from there. But when you become a realtor, it basically means that you have joined the National Association of Realtors and
Okay.
you are held to a higher standard
Yep.
because you have to go and follow their ethics and their requirements.
Okay. I just want to make sure that folks that are listening to this episode that they know the difference and that they should be doing business with a real estate agent that is also a realtor.
Yes, and I am a realtor. I am a member of the National Association of Realtors.
Okay, so you live in the Justin area, and if I was to move to
Mhm.
Justin, why should I be moving to the Justin area?
Well, the Justin area is a very quaint, small Texas town where
Okay.
you still get that sense of community. It
Okay.
is growing, so it's also a great investment from that standpoint where they
Hmm.
are expected to potentially triple their population
Okay.
within the next five. Yeah, I saw your eyes go in the next 5 to 10 years. And
Okay.
so when you're looking at real estate as an investment, because it
Hmm.
is your biggest investment outside of
Yep.
your 401k. So you
Okay.
want to get a good return on whatever you purchase. But the people there are wonderful. There's a lot of great like mom and pop shops. So if you want that personalized feel,
Hmm.
like I love when I go to the pharmacy there and they know exactly who I am. I go into the grocery store. Hi, Mrs. Dyer. Good morning. Personally, I think that's really cool. My grandparents
Hmm.
lived in a small town in Iowa and I
Yep.
always wanted to live there. So this is kind of my opportunity to live in that small town where, kind of like Cheers, everybody knows your name and
Hmm.
the neighborhoods are great. The houses are great. City staff is great. It's a wonderful community. Plus, it's great to all of your commuting routes. So it's
Hmm.
your opportunity to not live in the hubbub of the
Yep.
city and the craziness of traffic.
Hmm.
You can live a little bit farther out, get a good deal on a house, but still get to work. And I love its location because within a 20 to 30-minute drive, you can
Hmm.
get to Decatur, to Denton, to Flower Mound, to Grapevine, South Lake, even to Fort Worth, and have access to shopping, dining, entertainment, whatever you need.
Okay. That's a pretty good answer for why I should be moving to the Justin area. Okay. All
Yes.
right. So real estate is, gone through some crazy stuff over the last couple of years. What's the real estate market right now like in the Justin area? You getting, multiple offers on homes right now? Is there inventory? What's is it affordable?
So it is affordable. You're going to see houses anywhere from about 300 all
Hmm.
the way up into the 700, 800 price range.
Okay.
You're going to see your traditional master plan communities, but there's also some areas where you're going to see half acre lots to full on acre lots. And if you go just outside of town, if you want to live on like 10 to
Hmm.
15 acres, we can
Yep.
find that for you. You're not going to
Okay.
get that for 300,000, but you are going to get, um, all of that's available to you.
Okay.
So when you asked if there's multiple offers in Justin, we've seen it kind of subside just a little bit,
Okay.
unless that house is priced really well.
Hmm.
The house is like model ready. It's ready to hit the market.
Hmm.
We are still kind of seeing some little one-offs in
Hmm.
the multiple offer area, but Justin right now, you can still get a good deal and there is a lot of inventory and we have a lot of new builds. So if you really want new construction and
Okay.
some of the builders are offering some deals.
Okay, great. All right. All right. So we're moving into the part of the interview where I like to talk about, home buying and then also some selling. So I have a few frequently asked questions I like to run through with you in regards to purchasing a home. And, probably these would be really good for a first time home buyer. So
Mhm.
a question that probably a first time home buyer is wondering is, do I really need to work with a real estate agent when I'm buying my home?
Do you 100% have to work with a real estate agent? No, but does it help? Yes, because we can offer advice. We know what the market is doing. We
Hmm.
can look at the history. So it kind of helps you get that edge over, especially if it's one of those houses that I mentioned earlier,
Yep.
where it's priced well, it looks great, and a lot of people are wanting it.
Hmm.
Knowing the market and knowing how to best put together your offer package
Yep.
is always great. But also, we have a lot of resources to make sure that you're getting put with a lender. There's some national lenders that a lot of people think they should go through because they see those commercials on TV. But
Hmm.
here in Texas, it's always a little bit different. So, especially if you're moving to this area, to be
Hmm.
able for me to get you hooked up with a lender that's local here to Texas
Yep.
versus one of those national lenders, it just helps your offer package even more. But
Okay.
also things like why you should have home inspections and putting you with a home inspector and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You want our expertise, you want our knowledge base, you
Mm-hmm.
want to be educated through the process.
Okay, great. All right. Let's talk about the offer and negotiation process. How does that work for from the buyer side?
Okay, so we found your house and you're ready to put an offer in, and I
Mm-hmm.
will go ahead and put it together. And there's all these points of negotiations from the
Mm-hmm.
price, who pays the title policy, is a survey needed? If it is, who could
Mm-hmm.
potentially pay for that? Do you need a home warranty? What should the close date be? Do you have a home to
Okay.
sell? So you have to put a contingent offer. There's all those little things in there. Once you
Mm-hmm.
put that, get that submitted, that agent's going to share it with their clients, and they'll either say yes to it, they'll say
Yep.
no to it, or they'll come back and counter it. And then you kind of go from there.
Okay. You mentioned appraisal. What happens
hmm
during the home appraisal process from a buyer's perspective?
So once your contract's been accepted and you've
Mm-hmm.
gone through what's called an option period,
Okay.
then your lender's going to order the appraisal. And you want that house to appraise for at least what you've offered it or
Mm-hmm.
higher. If
Got
it
it.
appraises for under that, then we
Mm-hmm.
kind of go back to negotiations and renegotiate that price.
Okay. Um, let's talk about how much of a down payment do I need as a buyer? I hear 20%, 3%. What's the deal with that?
So you could need anywhere from 3% up to 20% or more if you want to put, a larger chunk down. It
Yep.
really depends on the lending package, the
Mm-hmm.
program that your lender has you set up with.
Yep.
Obviously, if you're using FHA, the lowest you can put down is a 3.5%. There are
Mm-hmm.
some conventional loan packages where you can do as little as 3%. If
Mm-hmm.
you're military and want to go and use your military and your VA loan status,
Yep.
you could potentially put down 0%. And here in Justin is a USDA appointed loan package
Mm-hmm.
through the United States Department of Agriculture, where
Mm-hmm.
if you qualify for it, you can put down 0% for that as well.
All right. So there's some great opportunity for first-time home buyers that don't probably have a lot of money to put
Yes.
down and get a house. All right. That's good. Okay. One more question around buyers, and it can be sometimes confusing for folks, especially first-time home buyers, is okay, I am pre-qualified or am I pre-approved for a mortgage? Can you tell me what the difference is for between those two? And
Oh,
what's the importance
so
of being one over the other?
So there is a little bit of a difference. Your pre-qualification is a little bit less formal. It
Mhm.
just means that your lender has had a conversation with you. You've probably filled
Yep.
out the application,
Yep.
put down like what your big bills are, how much money you make. They're going to pull a
Mhm.
credit report and kind of go through it and then give you an amount.
Okay.
When you are pre-approved, you've gone through a more extensive process where you've gone all the way through underwriting, where
Yep.
you've actually submitted documents. They are um, checking to make sure that you are employed, you do make the money that you said that you made on the application, and they're just waiting for you to go under contract. When
Okay.
you talked about like putting in a contract on a
Mhm.
house, this just gets you one step above
Mhm.
everybody else. And that listing agent and their sellers are going to know that you are financially less of a risk than somebody who's just been pre-qualified versus
So
pre-approved.
so being pre-approved is almost as good as having cash.
Yes,
Okay.
it really shows that from a financial standpoint, you're a solid buyer.
Okay. All right. So that wraps up the questions around buyers. Let's get into sellers. You represent sellers also, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is your business, before we get into these questions, is your business kind of 50-50 with sellers, buyers? What's your business like right now?
I think it's more kind of like 40-60, where
Mm.
my sellers are more 40%. And
Mhm.
that's just partly due to I've only had my license for 5 years. So all of
Yep.
those buyers, not all of them have yet called me and said, hey, I'm ready to sell. I'm
Got
seeing a
it.
lot more of that. I'm getting referrals, but I would
Mhm.
say a 40-60 where I probably work more with buyers than sellers, but I have represented a lot of sellers.
One more question around this, because and it kind of made me, and it's not on our list of questions, but what is the average length of time that someone buys a house, will they stay in the house and put it back on the market to sell, to upgrade or move out of the area?
So that's a good question. Probably our parents, you and me, our parents, were in a house for like 20, 30 years. They may have had one or two houses during the course of their adulthood, where now you're seeing sellers stay in a house for like maybe 5 years at most, usually between that 3 to 5 year mark. They're really kind of taking stock, and a lot of them are like upsizing. And I don't know, maybe the size of the house, but more importantly, all the bells and whistles that come in a house. They want higher end finishes. And one way to do that is to sell what they're in and buy a more. Take that cash, take that investment, and put it into the next one.
Okay, so let's get into some seller questions. How do you, when you're about ready to take on a someone who wants to sell their house, how do you determine the current market value of their home?
So that's a very interesting situation right now, because we've come out of last year where you had about 18 to 24 months of like a crazy market and people spending thousands of dollars over the list price. So you really, your best bet is to look at similar houses. So if it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, you want to look at 3-bed, 2-baths. You don't want to look at like a 5 or 6 bedroom house and compare it with that one. You're trying to compare as close as you can, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. And so I will take all of the information about the house that we're thinking about listing and put it into MLS, look at what's currently on the market, look at what's pending, look at what's sold. Best case is within 90 days, but sometimes if not a lot has sold in that neighborhood, then you have to go out a little bit. But I take that information of what I'm seeing along with my knowledge of the real estate and what's happening, and I give a few different scenarios to my sellers. In the end, they choose the price, but I try to educate them on what's happening in the market. And if they go too high, what could happen? Or if we go just a little bit, lower, what could potentially happen?
Okay. That's a good answer. Okay. So you're selling a house. It's an older home. It needs repairs. It needs upgrades. Do you make these before you list your home? What should I do?
That is, there's a lot of opinions out there.
Yeah.
Your neighbors will tell you not to do anything. But it really is a case by case situation, because it depends on your neighborhood. I know you said an older home, but even sometimes a newer home, things help. Some people really want to get top dollar. And so I will, compare if they do nothing, what I see that they could get for their house versus if they do X, Y, and Z. And I walk through the house and I tell them, you should do this, this, and this. And so if they do all those, what they could potentially get. And so while sometimes if you're in a crazy market like we were, a year ago, you may not have to do much. But especially now that the market's cooled off and it's more balanced, it's not really a seller's market, not really a buyer's market. It's balanced. There might be some things you have to do for you to stand out from the crowd.
Okay. It's spring. What is the best time of the year to market a house and sell your house?
So again, a lot of people have opinions on this and feel like spring and summer is the best. And it's really more pros and cons. It's not that one time is better than the other. It's more that there's pros and cons. The pros to selling in spring and early summer is that that's when you have the most buyers looking. But you also could potentially have the most houses on the market, so you have more competition. When you're looking in late summer and fall, some of those buyers have already gotten under contract, so you have a better look. I will say probably the toughest is that November, December, early January timeframe, because most people, whether they're sellers or buyers, they're really thinking about the holidays. So you don't have a lot on the market, so there's not a lot of competition, but sometimes your buying pool really shrinks. And so you could sit on the market a little bit longer. But if you have to sell, like if you're a job transfer and you have to sell at that time of year, don't let it scare you. We can sell your house.
Okay. All right. So not so much, there's not too many multiple offers based on our conversation so far today, but markets go up and down. So how do you handle multiple offers for a seller in a hot market?
So when we were in the hot market and I
Yeah.
did have listings with it, I put it down and I just numbered as they came in. This was off
Hmm.
number 1, 2. I just numbered them. I put them
Hmm.
in, not like an Excel spreadsheet because I'm not very technologically savvy, but I did like just like a table in Word.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had every category, and
Hmm.
just so that they could see it from a numbers, because it's you have to take the emotion out of it.
Yep.
And so you just talk about it from the number standpoint. What is good about this? We usually narrowed it down to 2 or 3, and then we talked about the pros and cons
Hmm.
between those 2 to 3 top offers that they really liked. And then in the end, your seller picks the offer they want to go with.
Okay. Just a couple more questions around selling your home, and people always want to know is how much do real estate agents make? So what is the average commission for a real estate agent? How's that all work out?
So market standard is
Hmm.
6%.
Yeah.
And that typically gets paid by the seller, and
Hmm.
it gets split 50-50. So 3% to the listing agent's broker,
Hmm.
and then the other 3% goes to the buyer's agent's broker. And then those
Hmm.
brokers split it however they have it worked out with their agent.
Hmm.
Um, Most of the time, buyers don't have to pay their agent, but that's not always the case. And it's
Hmm.
also area specific.
Okay. All right. I got one more question around selling your home, and it deals in taxes. And I know you're not an accountant here, and it deals with capital gains in the sale of your primary residence. And people are wondering, do I have to pay capital gains when I sell my home if I'm not going to be reinvesting that into another property or anything like that? I'm just cashing out.
So, yes, I am not a tax expert, so you should consult your local
Yeah.
tax person.
Yeah.
But there are usually some guidelines that the government
Hmm.
has set up.
Hmm.
Typically, if you sell your house and you've lived in it under 2 years,
Hmm.
there will be some capital gains taxes, and it just depends on what you purchased it for, what you sold it for. Keep all
Hmm.
your receipts because there are things that are tax deductible with
Yeah.
that sale that you can eat away the
Mhm.
profit, reduce that profit
Gains.
level.
Yep.
Yeah, the gains. If it's over 2 years, generally you don't have to pay property taxes, or I'm sorry, capital gains taxes.
Hmm.
But if you make over a certain amount of money on
Hmm.
it, whether you're single or you're a married couple,
Yeah.
then yes, you could potentially pay capital gains taxes, but check with your tax person to see what it is currently,
Okay.
because the government does like to change that
Yep.
every so often.
Yeah. Okay. Great, Lisa. Thanks for answering those questions for me regarding buyers and sellers. I just got a couple more questions before we wrap up this interview today. And this is a question I like to ask every real estate agent that comes on the show is why should someone looking to buy or sell their home work with you over your competition?
So I think one of the things that stands out for me, and
Mm,
I try to be modest about this, but my husband's like, he's repeated it. I've had several clients repeat it. It
yeah.
really is that I am about the relationship. This
Okay.
is just isn't a transaction for me where I'm making a commission check and I'm,
Mm,
moving on to the next person. Obviously, this is how I make my living, but
yep.
the onus is on who I'm working with. I really
Yep.
care about the people that I work with,
Hmm.
and a lot of my clients have turned into friends.
Hmm.
I like to stay in contact with them. So, like even yesterday, I did a quick video because we're about ready to have our tax assessments mailed out. So, I
Hmm.
try to tell people that our relationship does not
Yeah.
end at the closing table.
Yeah.
I still provide a service. I can be a resource of you. And I do have the tagline, Dyer gets it done.
All right. That's a good tagline.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. All right. So if someone's looking to buy or sell their home, how can they get in touch with you?
So it's very easy. You can call or text me. I see that my number is down below there.
Yep.
You can go to my website, lisadyer.com,
Hmm.
which has a button that says, to contact me. So you can click on
Hmm.
that and put your information.
Yep.
I do have email,
Mhm.
realtor Lisa Dyer at gmail.com. I'm on
Okay.
Facebook. I am on
Okay.
Instagram, but I will tell you, I do check Facebook more often than Instagram. But Facebook, it's Realtor Lisa Dyer. Just look me up. I'm here in the North Texas area, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay. Lisa, thanks for coming on the show today. Folks, everybody, to the next show, make it a great day. Take
Yeah.
care. Bye.
Thanks, Steve, for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Local Real Estate Show. If you are a real estate agent, a mortgage broker, or a closing company and would like to be a guest on an upcoming show, please visit thelocalrealestateshow.com for more information. Thanks for listening.